200 motorcycles roll down Main Street like a living thunderstorm. Chrome flashes in a rising sun. Pipes growl and echo against the brick buildings. Teachers stop mid-sentence at their car doors. Students freeze on the sidewalks, phones snapping up to record. A wall of leather vests and club patches glides past the crossing guard and swings into the high school parking lot in perfect formation. Engines idle, a deep animal growl. Helmets turn, faces hidden behind tinted visors. The first bell hasn't even rung yet, but every window is filled with wide-eyed kids peering out. Across the street, a patrol car slows, lights flickering, unsure whether to move in or call for backup. A second siren wails faintly in the distance. The morning air smells of gasoline and cold autumn leaves. At the front of the pack, a tall man cuts his engine and swings off his bike. His boots hit the asphalt with a hard, deliberate sound. He doesn't raise his voice, but everyone hears him. He walks into day without fear. The words hang there, heavier than the exhaust smoke drifting over the parking lot. Nobody yet knows who he is or why an army of bikers has descended on a suburban high school. But every student holding up a phone will soon be streaming the same question to the world. Why are they here? He walks with his head down, hands jammed into the pocket of a faded hoodie 2 sizes too big. The sleeves hide his wrists. The hood hides a purple bruise along his jaw. His name is Ethan, but most kids at the school only know him as a target. Every step toward the front doors feels like crossing enemy territory. He counts the cracks in the sidewalk instead of the faces around him. He's been doing that for 3 years, ever since the first shove into a locker and the first snicker behind his back. At first it was words. Then it was food dumped on his tray. Then it was fists in the bathroom. Phones filming while teachers looked the other way. Ethan tried all the usual things. He told a guidance counselor. He showed a nurse the bruises. He even wrote an anonymous note to the principal. Nothing changed. If anything, it got worse. Don't be a snitch, one of the bigger boys warned, and the beatings got quieter but crueler. Last week they cornered him behind the gym and cut a chunk of his hair off while laughing. This morning they promised to finish it before lunch. He believes them. So under that hoodie, along with bruises, Ethan carries a small scrap of paper with a phone number on it. He got it from an older boy at the skate park who once wore a biker vest. If you're ever really scared, the boy had said, call this number. They listen. Last night, Ethan finally dialed it. He didn't expect anyone to pick up, but a gravelly voice answered, asked his name, asked what was happening. Ethan's throat closed up. He managed one sentence. I don't want to go back there alone. And that's why, on this cold autumn morning, as he approaches the school doors, he has no idea an army of engines is already rolling toward him. The Iron Horse Bar sits at the edge of town, low-ceiling neon beer signs flickering even at noon. Outside, a row of motorcycles glint in the weak light. Inside, the air smells of coffee, engine oil, and cigarette smoke clinging to leather. Laughter dies down as the door creaks open. It's Mara, the night shift waitress. She's only 22, but looks older, worry lines deepening around her eyes. In her apron pocket is a crumpled envelope. She doesn't speak at first, just walks past the pool table to where the president of the club sits. Hawk, the president, is a tall man with silver streaking his beard and a scar under one eye. He takes the envelope without a word, thumbs it open. The paper inside is folded 3 times, written in a shaky hand. I don't want to go back there alone. Ethan, 14 years old. Hawk reads the sentence out loud. The room stills. No clinking of glasses, no hum of conversation. Just a slow click of the ceiling fan. Mara swallows hard. He's my little brother, she says quietly. They're hurting him at school. Teachers won't do a damn thing. He called the number you gave me. Across the bar, men shift in their chairs. Tank sets down his coffee. Razor's knuckles whiten on his cue stick. Nobody jokes. Nobody moves. Hawk folds the paper, slips it into his vest pocket, and stands. His voice is low, almost a growl. Tell me everything. Mara does. The bruises, the threats, the video she saved on her phone. By the time she finishes, the entire club has gone silent, like a storm gathering. Outside, a gust of wind rattles the door. Inside, the bikers exchange glances that say more than words. Hawk looks around the room. He's walking in tomorrow without fear, he says. That's not a request. That's a mission. No one disagrees. The meeting room behind the bar smells of leather and hot coffee. A long scar table runs down the middle. Maps and old photos tack the walls. 25 men and women sit shoulder to shoulder, their patches stitched with history and bad decisions. Hawk lays Ethan's note on the table like evidence. Tank is the first to break the silence. We roll in tonight, he says. Handle it our way. No kid should be scared to breathe. His hand rests on a chain hanging from his belt. Razor leans forward, tattoos disappearing under his sleeves. You know what that means. Assault on minors. Trespass. Probably worse. We'd all be back in cells before the sun comes up. Across the table, Doc taps a cigarette against an empty mug. We're not doing a boy any good if we end up behind bars. He says quietly, think of his sister. Think of what he sees when the news calls us criminals again. Mara sits in the corner, arms wrapped around herself, watching them argue. Her brother's bruised face flickers on her phone screen, a silent witness. Hawk raises a hand. The room stills. No weapons, he says. No fists. No midnight raids. We're not ghosts in the dark anymore. We show up where everyone can see and we stand with him. A few brows furrow. Tank shakes his head. You're talking about daylight. About walking straight into a school. Hawk nods once. Exactly. They call us monsters? Let them see what monsters do when a child needs help. Engines off. Hands visible, no trouble. We don't touch a soul unless they touch him first. Slowly, one by one, heads begin to nod. Chains clink, mugs empty. A plan forms not of violence, but of presence, loud, undeniable, impossible to ignore. Hawk's voice drops to a growl. He walks in tomorrow without fear. That's the order. Anyone who can ride, meet here at dawn. Outside, the wind carries a distant echo of engines already gathering. Inside, the club has made its choice. All night the phones buzz. Short calls, shorter answers. Old debts being called in. Bring your colors. Be at the yard by dawn. No explanations, no flyers, no social media, just a network of names etched into memory and burner phones. In garages and sheds across 3 counties, men and women pull dusty leather vests from closets. Patches with skulls, wings, flames. Clubs that don't normally ride together answering the same quiet request. Gas tanks are filled, chains tightened, headlights checked. Some riders haven't spoken to each other in years. It doesn't matter. A kid needs them. By first light, the gravel lot behind the Iron Horse is alive with movement. Engines cough to life one after another until the air vibrates like a living drum. Chrome gleams under pale sunlight. Helmets snap shut. Boots stomp onto foot pegs. The smell of gasoline and black coffee mixes with cold morning air. Hawk walks the line like a general before a battle, eyes scanning rows of bikes. Tank gives a thumbs up. Doc adjusts the med kit, strapped to his saddle. Razor flicks ash from a cigarette and crushes it under his boot. No one talks louder than murmur. The sound of idling engines fills the space between them. Mara stands off to the side, arms wrapped around herself, watching the impossible form before her. 200 machines, 200 riders, one purpose. And somewhere across town, Ethan zips his hoodie and shoulders his backpack, unaware that an army of engines is already rolling toward his school. The sound reaches the school before the bikes do. A low thunder rolling through the streets, growing louder with every second. Lockers slam, heads lift, phones come out. By the time the first bell rings, the whole campus is humming with curiosity. Then they appear, 200 bikes, front wheels perfectly straight, moving in a slow, deliberate column, chrome blinding under the morning sun, engines grumbling like caged beasts, jackets of black and red and steel blue, names and patches glinting as they roll past. Teachers spill onto the front steps, shielding their eyes. Someone drops a clipboard. A secretary fumbles for the phone. The principal's voice cracks over the intercom. Please stay inside your classrooms. But the students don't. They crowd at windows, pressing faces to the glass, filming through half-open doors. A cheer breaks somewhere in the courtyard, then another. The smell of gasoline and leather drifts through the air vents, a smell like rebellion, like safety. The bikes slow and split into two lines, framing the walkway like a steel corridor. Kickstands drop one by one with a hard metallic snap. 200 helmets turn at once toward the school's front doors. Ethan steps out, clutching his backpack strap with one hand. For a heartbeat, everything stops. The bullies frozen mid-smirk, teachers mid-sentence, the crowd holding its breath. The only sound is 200 engines throttling down to a steady, pulsing growl. It isn't violence. It isn't chaos. It's a wall of presence, a living message. You're not alone anymore. Blue lights flash at the edge of the parking lot, painting the chrome in streaks of red and white. 2 squad cars roll up slow, doors open, hands resting on belts. Teachers cluster near the entrance, whispering to one another, faces pale. A school administrator, blazer, clipboard, thin smile, strides out like they're walking into a board meeting instead of a wall of leather and steel. You can't be here, she says, voice trembling under the weight of so many eyes. This is a school zone. Engines idle, a steady heartbeat. No one answers. Then the crowd of bikers parts down the middle. Hawk steps forward, helmet under his arm, sunglasses catching the morning sun. Tattoos creep from his collar onto his neck like old scars. He isn't shouting. His voice is calm, even respectful. We're not here to cause trouble, he says, tone carrying more authority than any megaphone. We're here because a boy asked for help. He's walking in today without fear. The administrator looks from him to the police, then back again. If there's a problem, she begins. There was a problem. Hawk cuts in gently, nodding toward Ethan. You ignored it. We won't. For a long moment, no one moves. The bullies stand back by the flagpole, their usual swagger draining away under 200 quiet stares. Even the police hesitate, caught between protocol and common sense. Hawk turns to Ethan and jerks his chin toward the front doors. Go on, kid. School's waiting. Ethan steps forward. The line of bikers shifts, closing ranks behind him, a silent escort. He walks up the steps, shoulders squared, and for the first time in months, no one reaches out to shove him, no one trips him, no one laughs. At first, everyone thinks it's just a show of force, a dramatic morning, some cell phone videos, a story to tell over lunch. But the bikers don't ride off after the bell. They stay. They stand at the edge of the parking lot, arms crossed, eyes scanning. The smell of gas and leather lingers like a warning. That's when things start to crack. A boy from another grade sidles up to Mara, eyes darting. A girl leaves an anonymous note under a windshield wiper. Whispers reach Hawk through the same back channels that brought him here. Each story adds another piece to a puzzle no one at the school wanted to see. Ethan isn't just a bullied kid. He's been paying protection money to a small gang of older students who use the back stairwell like their own corner. They aren't working alone. A uniformed security guard, the one who's supposed to protect them, has been taking a cut to look the other way. It explains everything. The bruises, the constant fear, the adult's strange silence. The school didn't just fail Ethan. It's been complicit. Inside the clubhouse that night, Hawk spreads a stack of photocopied notes on the table. Names, times, dates. The writers lean in, faces hard. No one speaks for a long time. The stakes are no longer about teasing or hallway shoves. They're about crime, betrayal, and a boy trapped between both. Hawk exhales slowly, eyes on the door. "We're not done," he says. "Not until this is over." Outside, 200 bikes wait in the dark, engines cold but ready. By the third morning, the air outside the school is tense enough to snap. The bikers stand in their usual formation, but now the crowd has changed. News vans lurk at the curb. Parents cluster on the sidewalk, some thanking the riders, some spitting insults under their breath. One man shoves through the crowd, red-faced, his tie hanging loose. It's the father of one of the bullies. He points at Hawk, shouting, "You're scaring our kids. This is harassment." He steps closer, jabbing a finger into Hawk's chest. Other bikers shift their weight, a wall of black leather bracing for impact. The police move in at once, hands on cuffs. That's enough. An officer barks. Everybody back up. Another warns Hawk he's about to be arrested for trespassing. Engines growl. Boots scrape against asphalt. The entire scene teeters on the edge of chaos. Then a voice cuts through the noise. "Wait! Look at this." A student stands on the steps, phone held high. On the screen, a shaky video plays. Ethan cornered in the bathroom, shoved against the tile, his backpack ripped open while 3 older boys search for cash. The date stamp and the faces are clear. The security guard stands at the doorway, watching, then walks away. Gasps ripple through the crowd. Teachers freeze. The angry father drops his hand. The officers glance at one another, their grip on the cuffs loosening. Another student steps forward with a second clip, then another. Different angles, different days, all showing the same pattern. Bullying, extortion, cover-ups. Evidence the school had hidden or ignored is now spilling into the sunlight, one phone at a time. Hawk doesn't smile. He just nods once to the officers. "This is why we're here," he says quietly. The tension drains like air from a balloon. The police holster their cuffs. The parent backs away. And for the first time since the bikers arrived, the crowd isn't just staring at them in fear. They're staring at the truth. By the end of the week, the entire district is on fire. News anchors are camping outside the school. State officials are calling the superintendent. And the video clips are playing on every local channel. The story can't be hidden anymore. Suspensions start first. The 3 main bullies are escorted off campus in front of TV cameras. Then come the bigger moves. The corrupt security guard is arrested for extortion, the principal placed on leave for covering up complaints, and an internal investigation opened by the state's Department of Education. Ethan isn't at school to see any of it. He's sitting at a diner 2 towns away, a milkshake in his hands, eyes wide. Across the booth from him sits Marianne, the biker president's wife, a quiet, soft-spoken nurse with a stack of paperwork in her bag. She's also a certified foster parent. When the social worker balks at the idea, Marianne lays out the regulations on her phone. "It's legal. Check your own manual," she says calmly. The social worker hesitates, then signs. Just like that, Ethan is placed in emergency foster care, not with strangers, but with people who already see him as family. Back at the clubhouse that night, the bikers pass a helmet around. Wads of cash drop in until it's full. "College fund," someone mutters, or whatever future he wants. They add a second envelope for legal fees for anyone still trying to intimidate Ethan's mom. Outside, 200 motorcycles are parked side by side, engines cooling, chrome glowing under the neon sign. None of them needed thanks, but they get it anyway. Messages from strangers online, teachers who were afraid to speak up, even police officers who quietly gnawed at them in town. Ethan keeps the hoodie he wore that first day. Marianne washes it, but he won't throw it away. It reminds him of the moment when the roar of 200 engines drowned out his fear. For the first time in years, he sleeps through the night without waking up in panic. The club doesn't call themselves heroes. They just tell each other they did what needed to be done. The photo that day, Ethan standing between 2 rows of bikes, smiling shyly at the camera, now hangs framed above the bar. And every Thursday, when the club meets under the low lights and the smell of oil and leather, Someone glances at that picture and remembers why they chose to show up in daylight, in public, as protectors instead of predators. Sometimes the loudest noise a motorcycle makes isn't its engine. It's the sound of men who have seen darkness choosing, just once, to stand in the sun. 15 years pass in a blink. The boy everyone ignored is now a man with a family of his own. His shoulders are broad, his voice steady. He works as a youth counselor, the same school district now sending troubled kids to him instead of turning them away. On a shelf in his office is a single-framed relic, a weather-worn biker patch, edges frayed, colors faded. Under the glass is a small handwritten note. Ride safe. You're never alone. It was the first patch they gave him, a symbol of a promise kept. He has turned down every offer to return it. Every few months, he still rides out to the old clubhouse. Some of the faces have changed. Some bikes have been traded for wheelchairs, but the roar of engines still shakes the ground. He doesn't need the protection anymore, but he still calls them family. The camera pulls back as he hugs the club president's wife, the woman who once signed the foster papers, and hands her a photo of his own child. The circle is closed. Back then, 200 bikers showed up outside a high school, and the world thought a war was coming. What really arrived was a wall of guardians who refused to look away. Sometimes the people you fear most become the ones who stand between you and the darkness. Sometimes the scariest angels wear leather and ride motorcycles. Fade out on the patch, the engines in the distance, and a boy's life permanently changed because a group of men chose to protect instead of destroy.